Welcome to Long Story Short, a series where big historical events and themes are explained in a concise way that does not sacrifice facts or analysis. In today's episode, in honour of Pride Month, we're going to be exploring the legacy of Section 28, a piece of queer-phobic legislation passed during the 1980s in the UK. It specifically prevented the promotion of homosexuality, which had a profound impact on the LGBTQ community for decades. The 1970s saw greater visibility for queer people in general in the post-Stonewall world. The formation of the UK branch of the Gay Liberation Front was indicative of the rise of gay activism. This was accompanied by more visibility in queer nightlife, particularly in London. More generally, there was an emerging queer counterculture, which afforded greater visibility and representation in society. This was met with some hostility from right-wing pressure groups such as Mary Whitehouse's Clean Up TV campaign. However, it was the AIDS crisis which ushered in a new wave of homophobia and prejudice towards the LGBTQ community. A survey in 1987 found that 75% of people who were asked believed that homosexuality was always or mostly wrong. This homophobic social climate was greatly engendered by those in power. Many historians have noted that the poor response of the Thatcher government to the AIDS pandemic greatly fueled misinformation and homophobia. Moreover, their emphasis on social conservatism masqueraded as morality and family values marginalised queer people further, as the community was seen as not falling into the bounds of perceived respectability. This growing homophobic climate meant that individually queer people faced hostility, but more generally the community came under attack. Diversity schemes and queer media were attacked by people who claimed to be protecting morality and decency. For example, the Danish children's book Jenny Lives with Eric and Martin came under scrutiny when it was published in England. This is because it represented a gay couple who lived with their daughter, which was perceived by the right wing as homosexual propaganda. The Daily Mail in 1986 reported that the book was put into schools by left-wing people in the Inner London Education Authority in order to indoctrinate children. This hateful rhetoric was further spewed against local authority initiatives, which included LGBTQ representation within the education system. Some residents clashed with Labour-dominated councils over these schemes. For example, the Haringey Council was deemed to be run by the loony left by disaffected locals and the media. Some parents even formed the Campaign for Normal Family Life and the New Patriotic Movement with the aim of preventing Haringey's diversity initiatives. This came to the attention of some Conservative MPs, who equated LGBTQ inclusion with brainwashing. They attempted to use their legislative power to repress vital diversity schemes. In 1986, an MP in the Conservative Family Campaign tried to ensure that sex education excluded LGBTQ representation. Similarly, a Conservative member of the House of Lords tried to introduce a private members' bill to stop local authorities promoting homosexuality. These failed, but the Conservative central government took up this issue during the election period, with Thatcher claiming that children were being taught an inalienable right to be gay. This was the context in which Section 28 was born from. The Local Government Act was passed in 1988 in order to place more restrictions on local councils. This included Section 28, which read as stated: prohibition on promoting homosexuality by teaching or by publishing material. 1. A local authority shall not a. intentionally promote homosexuality or publish material with the intention of promoting homosexuality. b. Promoting the teaching in any maintained school of the acceptability of homosexuality as a pretended family relationship. This essentially meant that LGBTQ people were excluded from being visible in public in many ways, such as in education through schools, public libraries and other schemes run by local councils. This section also further worked to reinforce the harmful idea that LGBTQ+ families and their relationships are imitations of heterosexual ones, which furthered homophobia. Despite the act being passed, queer people organised and resisted. The Organisation for Lesbian and Gay Action was formed a year before the act was passed, but still remained active, as did the Stop the Clause campaign. There are many notable instances of protest, which included rallies such as the one at Manchester, which 20,000 people attended. Activists interrupted debates and news coverage. 4 lesbians abseiled into the House of Lords debating chamber in order to disrupt proceedings. Similarly, 2 lesbians interrupted the 6 o'clock BBC News to bring attention to the law to the public.
In the House of Lords, a vote is taking place now on a challenge to the poll tax. Tory rebels have said
protesting about rights for lesbian and gay people.
In the long term, queer resistance continued even when the law had taken effect. The UK organisation Stonewall was founded in 1989 by activists and public figures such as Ian McKellen in order to lobby for legal changes, something which it still does to this day in advocacy for the LGBTQ+ community. Similarly, Outrage was founded in 1990 and it also functioned as an advocacy group working to change social and legislative attitudes towards queer people. Section 28 remained in place for roughly 15 years, and during that period had a profound impact on the LGBTQ+ community. Queer youth no longer saw themselves represented in school, which reinforced shame and stigma. Also, queer teachers and public sector workers also feared for their livelihoods. Overall, the queer community found themselves more ostracised in society. Section 28 was eventually repealed in Scotland in 2000 and then in England in 2003. However, its effects are still being reversed to this day. As Paul Baker notes, the ideology of Section 28 was so deeply embedded in many ways that it is still 1988. This can be seen in the rise of hostility towards the LGBTQ+ community, both in Britain and abroad. But the story of Section 28 also demonstrates the resistance and survival of the queer community who continue to survive and thrive. For resources on LGBTQ+ history, look in the description for more information. I wish you all a safe and happy Pride. Thank you so much for watching. I have been Our Historia, and until next time.